I want to begin by saying that Plotinus was probably one of my favorite authors to read because he's a jumping off point for both Christians and Muslims, particularly with his doctrine of the One and the notion of the world soul, which factored more prominently in Arabic philosophy, especially with philosophers such as Ibn Rushd, who believe that when we die, our soul merges with what Plotinus would call a world soul, so to speak. I found Plotinus's description of the One interesting when you compare it with the Christian notion of God, because as we talked about in class, Plotinus's notion is more impersonal than the Christian notion of God. Plotinus's God is transcendent and in another place, whereas the Christian God is present and with us and present in history. I didn't get the impression that Plotinus's God would be is necessarily present in human history, but is somehow outside of history. So I found it interesting also how Plotinus takes Plato and recasts Plato and kind of fixes Plato, so to speak, to make Plato say what he thinks Plato should have said. And I thought that was an interesting point brought out in the introduction to the Plotinus textbook, that Plotinus makes Plato say what he hoped Plato should have said. All in all, I found the course interesting, the feedback good. I thought everything flowed nicely, and it gave me a more well-rounded picture of ancient philosophy, how themes influenced one another, tie together, and really how important the pre-Socratic philosophers were in shaping later Greek philosophy. I always felt like in my study of ancient philosophy that the pre-Socratics kind of got short shrifted, or people usually glossed over them. But I'm glad that we spent a fair amount of time with the pre-Socratics in this course. As far as being the course objectives, I felt that this course particularly strengthened certain aspects of my faith, and it helps provide context. And I always felt that philosophy provides a certain architecture for one's faith. Lonergan talks about this in his book, Method in Theology, about how fundamental philosophy is. And Karl Rahner talks about this too, that we need philosophy to help us think more richly about theology. So all in all, I came away with a lot, and I'm glad we ended with Plotinus because I think this was an upshot. Plotinus kind of pulls the whole tradition together in um, his work, and he's a good read too because he sounds like Plato. He's a good launching point, as I said, for monotheistic faiths such as Islam and Christianity, and he says a lot of things that we can connect with. So all in all, I think it was good that we wrapped up with Plotinus. I wish everyone a good fall term, and I hope we all keep in touch.